Welcome to Comic Chop News. I'm Dan, and today we're going to be discussing the 2005 film Brick, directed and written by Rian Johnson. First thing I want to say is, I know Rian Johnson gets an incredible amount of crap because of The Last Jedi, and people tend to forget that he was a very accomplished director before that. I don't have as many problems with Last Jedi as a lot of other people do. I appreciate the fact that he made it his own. At the same time, I do acknowledge that there are some problems with that movie. But let's not talk about Last Jedi right now. We're not here for that. So, Brick in 2005 was Rian Johnson's first full-length movie that he did. And at least to me, it's an incredible debut. There is a certain amount of genius in this movie that he made this pulp, almost 1940s mystery be set in a high school during present day. At least in my head, I think this is one of 3 movies that Joseph Gordon-Levitt was starring in back then. The ones I really remember were 10 Things I Hate About You with Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles, Halloween H2O for the beginning prologue that he was in, and then this. This is the only one that I feel really got to let him stretch his acting chops. The movie focuses around Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, Brendan. It starts out with Brendan. He is seeing, I guess it's a tunnel, and he is kind of holding his hands over his face like this, and he's seeing what is the dead body of an ex-girlfriend of his. And from there, we're playing the game of cutting, showing something that happened in the future, and then jumping to the past. The whole start of the movie is he gets a note from Emilie, played by Emilie de Ravin, who many will remember was Claire from Lost. She is his ex-girlfriend and wants him to contact her. When he contacts her, she talks about how she's in trouble. Basically, she did something bad, and it's going to be bad for her, which then sets him down on investigating what's happening. And this journey takes him all over the place, where we meet this interesting cast of characters between Emilie's current boyfriend, love interest, Dode, who is basically a druggie. We are then introduced to Kara, the theater major. The football player, Brad. His girlfriend, love interest, Laura played by Nora Zehetner. And in this, she is basically the femme fatale. And it becomes so interesting, the homages into it. It has kind of, if you've ever seen Chinatown, that musical score background with the trumpets, jazz type music. She is such an homage to the older movies. Laura at one part is having a party at her house, and she's playing the piano and kind of being the ingenue. The house is one big fire hazard, though, because there are candles spread all across the floors of the house. Totally unsafe. I think that's against fire code. We also are introduced to Tug, who is the muscle. Then his boss, the Pin, who is short for the drug kingpin, played by Lukas Haas, who some might remember was a famous child actor for Witness with Harrison Ford. Great movie if you haven't seen it. The movie is basically machinations, scheming. We learn that Brendan, not exactly the best guy either, but he keeps leveraging other people and kind of scheming so that he can get to the Pin and find out what happens. Whether it's starting a fight with Brad, getting to know Laura, putting out the word to Kara, played by Meagan Good, who is the theater major. He also has a friend called the Brain who's feeding him information and sending out kind of feelers throughout the movie, trying to find out information for him. from tuning up Brad Ravitch, who is one of, I guess, the dealers for the pin. The Tug comes and beats the crap out of Brendan. Brendan manages to leverage this into meeting the pin after he now knows what Tug looks like, what his car is. And throughout the movie, Brendan is getting into fights constantly. And as the movie goes on, he just consistently, the wear and tear on his body, the injuries he's been taking, start having an effect on him where he's coughing, he's falling down, he's worn out. I did like the fact that he just wasn't like the Terminator, like in some movies where the people just keep fighting and going and going. He's going, but he's clearly just not well. He manages to manipulate his way into the pin, working for the pin, and through machinations manages to create a feud between Pin and Tug. While Dode decides that he's going to blame Brendan for killing Emilie, because he was there seeing him move Emilie's body, seeing Brendan move the body, and he doesn't like Brendan, clearly. And during this meeting, he is trying to set Brendan up, but Tug flips out and shoots him in the head after beating him. I don't really want to spoil the ending. I really feel like you kind of have to see how far Brendan goes, but he basically makes a war between Tug and Pin, and a brick of drugs goes missing, and it causes almost like a Pulp Fiction showdown at Pin's house. Brendan has rigged it to that the cops are going to raid it. They're going to find Emilie's body in Tug's trunk. And then we're brought to the end scene where most of the movie, Laura has been supportive in helping Brendan. And you never know really why, and then there's just this heel turn with her that he figures it out, that she was mostly behind it and the skimming of the brick that got Emilie in trouble to start with. And he basically tells her, I know what you did. This is how I know. And Dode revealed earlier in the movie that Emilie had been pregnant and he was sure it was his, and that she was going to keep it. She loved him, not Brendan. And Emilie reveals that she was 5 months pregnant, which would make it Brendan's, and that she was going to abort it. She didn't love him. Brendan had, before this, told her how he basically planted all the drugs in her locker and put a note in the principal's door. And also during the movie, you find out that Brendan and the principal have worked together. He's kind of a snitch and kind of gives up information to the principal, and the principal kind of lets him have leeway. So as she tells him this, she whispers something in his ear and walks off, and he's just staring off into blankness. And then in the background, Brain comes into the picture and says, hey, what did she whisper to you? And he just says, she called me a dirty name. And he said, you know, you've done well, go to sleep, Brain. And then we just end it there with the credits coming in. For a first movie, for a director, the balls to make this type of movie is pretty great, and it's a concept I never really would have thought of before, of having this pulp Chinatown type movie focused in a high school, and it's written very well. At sometimes though, the acting kind of, them in modern days saying some of the dialogue given to them just seems really off. But I think it's meant to. You're meant to be taken back to a time to the movies that it's homaging. And with that, I really admire it. The cinematography and directing are pretty great. It's by far not a perfect movie, but it's one of those movies that I feel like you have to watch. It's an own for me. I own it. I bought it. It's streaming on Netflix right now, so if you get interested by this review, definitely watch it. It's Netflix streaming. I don't know how much longer it's on, but totally give it a watch. I really think this is the movie where Joseph Gordon-Levitt finally started shaking off the third rock from the sun stigma TV acting bits of him, where he started taking a little bit more seriously as an actor. Going to give it an 8 out of 10, which maybe it's a little high. But the movie, it's the one where I have friends who are like, oh, I would like to watch more indie movies. This is the one I hand them. Ever since I saw the original trailer, I forget what Focus Features movie I was watching, but they showed the trailer of this. It fascinated me enough that I really thought that I had to go find it immediately and even go watch on YouTube the trailer. I am not going to put any video clips on this because I am tired of getting copyright claims filed against me. So I'm kind of trying to work around it a little bit. But I recommend highly watching this. Go seek it out. I'd even recommend blind buying it before you even see it. This is a movie to be enjoyed. It definitely is one that I constantly, I'd say once a year I'll give it a watch. Anyway, I'm glad that you could join me and comment, like, subscribe, and share. Tell me what you think of the movie. Just want to thank you very much, and have a good day. Bye-bye.